Happy Sunday, collective, and anybody else who's listening. I just wanted to say hi, let y'all know that yes, I am alive, much to my enemies' despair. I am still kicking it, trying to stay focused on what I need to stay focused on. But I've been thinking, I've been doing a lot of shadow work again. Every time I think I'm done, something else pops up. Oh, you good times. So one day I'll be through it, maybe, hopefully. But as you get older, you don't remember all the little details of the years that have gone by. And so when you start strolling down, I try to take it a decade at a time so not to overload my brain too badly. Um, but, the further into or back in my youth and younger years I go, I discover things that I had forgotten about. And, now as a grown up, I'm like, I really need to investigate that. So I'm making a little list of things that I want to find out more answers to. I'm hoping that my whole memory recall will kick in, but there's a space in my memory um, growing up that I used to be able to remember almost all my memories, but I can't remember a chunk from my childhood. I remember little highlights, little spurts. Um, but anyways, I always thought, everybody had the same childhood, so I didn't think nothing about it. Oh, this is how it is everywhere. So never thought much about it. Um, I was fortunate because after my biological father died, I got a stepdad, and he's been my father my whole life since I think I was about 5 or 6 when he showed up, and he's been through everything. I mean, he was there the year I got married, and I think it was 1979. He walked me down the aisle, brought a pair of tennis shoes in case I wanted to escape. I should have probably listened to him, but here I am. And my 3 beautiful children I got from that person. So, I can never say that something was a complete loss, even if it didn't work out, because something good always comes from it, even if it's a bad situation. Um, but it also helps you grow. So as I look back and think about the different people that have come in and out of my life, I see a lot of their purposes at this point and all the different things that help me grow wiser as a younger person. I was probably up until about 17ish, maybe 18. I was very much like I am now, very free spirited and so forth. And then it just seems like after that it got a little serious for a few decades. But after you come to terms with your little inner child, I think God gives you a little repeat version of that spirit that you had when you were younger. And that's what I'm getting to experience right now. That's why I could care less what the heck's going on around me, because I'm having a lot of fun enjoying the me that was always inside of me, but apparently had too many things to do and couldn't come out and play anymore. So I don't know how else to put that. But, and I was also thinking about my grandpa. He was I think he died he was about 85 years old. He was a 33-degree Mason. But he doesn't act like the ones that I've had to deal with, or he didn't act like the ones that I've had to deal with over this last few years. My grandpa was a really good man and always was good to me. He held an honorable life in the community. He took care of his family. My grandmother was sick at a young age. She had a rheumatic fever or something like that as a child, so she had her first open heart surgery at 26, and then kind of went downhill after that. So she didn't live to be a older woman. She lived to be in her 50s, early 50s or late 40s, something like that. But my grandpa, he uh, he liked to watch baseball. So I was trying to remember my favorite times with him. And it was him and I shared the love of the game. And we would sit on the couch together, no matter how old, young or old I was, and we would watch baseball. He liked the Dodgers the best. But we'd watch the Mets, we'd watch the Red Sox, we'd watch them all. He wasn't really into football. It was mostly uh, the baseball that we watched. Um, my grandmother, she was an Eastern Star, and all my aunts were Eastern Stars. And as I said, I don't remember people being, practicing witchcraft and stuff. I'm sure they did because as I was remembering things, I remember a conversation my grandmother was having with one of my aunts about somebody or someone's in the Eastern Star. She felt like they were trying to steal her husband or something. But, I was too young to worry about such things. So I just had a memory of that. And then now, as I'm thinking, and after I've experienced what I've experienced with this group of Eastern Star witches over the last couple years, and Masons, I really wonder if what she was saying wasn't true, and perhaps that's why she got sick and lost her life so early. There were suspicious circumstances around my biological father's death as well. He died when I was 4. According to my mother, he was found hanging in the garage, out in the garage of the apartment building we were living in at the time. Um, so I don't know exactly what happened, but I think I want to examine that a little further because he was a young man. He did have some anger management issues, if I recall correctly. I did get my first roughing when I was 6 months, but according to my mom, she says, well, he got hit by something when he was young and it kind of messed him up a bit or something. But anyway, so that's the skinny on that. But there's lots of things I'm remembering that didn't make sense. I remember my grandpa teasing me because he said I would get tan in the winter or in the summer in Southern California, and I'd get really cocoa brown, almost like a Caribbean kind of brown. It was really pretty, actually. When those Band of Soleil commercials started coming out, I put my arm up next to the TV to make sure it was the same color, that kind of stuff. It was funny. Anyways, things you remember. And I remember him telling me, hey, how come your knees are black? And I said, what are you talking about? He said, didn't you wash your knees? And your elbows, too. What's going on with you? And I remember saying, no, when I get suntan, I turn like an ash gray black on my knees and my elbows. The rest of me gets cocoa brown, so I gotta put extra lotion on to make sure the color matches. And he would laugh and he says, yeah. He says, you might want to stay out of the sun if that's what happens. So kind of a normal family for back in the 60s and 70s, when I was growing up. I was raised in a small town, Burbank. It was in itself a little quirky. There were signs up posted at the edge of town about people of color were not allowed to be there after a certain time or such, which I always wondered why I only saw one black person when I was growing up in life, and so that makes sense. And when that one person, I forget what his name was, but he came around junior high, and he was really popular. So I didn't understand why there weren't more people of color in our town. So I never really had a lot of experience there was a lot of Hispanics, I remember, so that was no big deal. My stepdad was Hispanic, so we had a lot of cultural events that we did and went to, and our families all played sports when growing up, so it just felt like it was, this is how everybody did things. And now, I just wonder. So, but I don't know why I'm sharing all this. I'm remembering things, and it just seems, things seem not quite right in the memories. So I'm talking it out. So I'm hoping that as my memories do come back, because they are coming back, as my awareness gets more focused, I'm able to remember things a lot more now. Um, but anyways, so when I talk about Masons or Eastern Stars on my channel or in my comments, you know, what I remember about them is only the reference I have with my grandparents. With my grandpa, the Masons, they just were a boys' or a men's fraternity, is how I saw it. And we went every year to watch him in his ceremony go up another notch. And then at one point, he became, the head of the lodge. And at that point had made his 33-degree Mason. Now, my experience with the Eastern Star was a little bit different because they weren't very nice. Even back then, they were really snooty and cliquey, and although I didn't know about the witchcraft yet, I just felt like it was like back then we called them socias, all the socias, making people who don't have as much as them feel less or lessor. And I didn't like that, never did. So when my grandmother and grandpa asked if I wanted to join the Job's Daughters, I investigated, and I'm like, nope, not me, not for me. Um, I just thought they were too phony, and I remember saying that at 16 or 17. They're phony people. I don't even know why you guys hang around with them. And of course, I had to hear a earful on that. But my grandmother knew. She knew exactly what I was saying, as I realize now. And my aunts did too. So I was never forced to join anything, which I appreciate. But anyways, for those of you out there struggling to remember the years that are lost because of whatever reason, as I understand it, witchcraft has been being performed on me for many years now. I know the government had a hand in it. MK Ultra, maybe just monitoring, who knows. But when I remember, you'll be the first to know, I'm sure. My grandparents are helping me to remember. And they'll send little memories to trigger. And I will say this, I know my grandma and my grandpa, as they sit up with the Father in heaven, they're looking down at this and they are furious. They are furious with what their organizations have become, what they are doing to the children and ancestors of the old school Masons and Eastern Stars. It's not right what they're doing, and it's been going on for, what was it, they told me 7 generations, whatever that, however many years that is. This is 7 generations of nonsense. So anyways, I pray for those people that wish me harm, because, just like the Christ said, they know not what they do. They just don't. And if they'd open up their hearts, they would figure it out, but they're blinded by their own Why is it not me? And envy and jealousy, and why would God choose you and not me when I did da da da? Well, it might be because you do some pretty bad things out there. So think about that. You may act like you're all holy in public, but you're doing horrific things in the background. But your days are numbered. They're coming. And it's showing up. I mean, everybody sees what's happening. So you can only hide for so long. Just remember that. Blessings to all.